Okay, thanks for joining me today. We're going to do a practice flight in X-Plane 11, and we'll be covering the basics of IFR flight. We'll do VOR approach into pain. We'll talk about shooting non-precision approaches today. It's going to be very off the cuff, so, not going to be super polished. Good luck, everybody. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Actually, I might do this at altitude. Airspeed's alive, and this alive. 55 rotate. We'll climb out. Alright, so let's start with the basics. Now, in instrument flying, obviously you don't have the ability to look outside of the aircraft, but we do have this awesome attitude indicator and our instruments that tell us all we need to know about the attitude of the aircraft. Like right now, that little airplane, the yellow airplane there, is 8 degrees-ish, maybe 10 degrees above the horizon. The altimeter and the vertical speed indicator are both confirming that I'm in a climb. And looking at the airspeed indicator, I'm at 80 knots. Yeah, close to 80 knots. And so I know I'm comfortable that I am in a climb. I'm on a heading of 162. And if I wanted to, well, I'm going to continue climbing up, but if I wanted to level off, I could put my nose on the horizon. Remember, pitch. I'm going to set my power setting for level flight. And then I will confirm, I'll cross-check with my other instruments to make sure that I am at level flight, and then I will trim and adjust as necessary. We'll keep climbing up. Looking at the right side, we have just departed Whidbey Air Park, and we are close to Payne Field's Class Delta airspace, so we're going to avoid that. I'm going to level off at 2,000 feet, coming up on 18.5, 1,900. I'm going to start my level off now. So I'll put my nose on the horizon, like so. I'm going to reduce my throttle to about 2,300 RPM, something comfortable. And I'll confirm with my vertical speed indicator that I'm in level flight. I'm getting there. My altimeter is saying we're at 2,000 feet. And my airspeed indicator is telling me that we've accelerated to about 100 knots. Okay? And we're not going to be using autopilot for any of this. Let's bug this heading. Go. Okay, so we are at level flight, 2,100 RPM. Gonna lean out the mix a little bit. Cool. Let's say I wanted to go to a heading of 220. I would bug that heading. And now, keeping my nose on the horizon, I'm gonna put in a little bit of a right aileron deflection, and I want to shoot for that standard rate turn, that little magenta thing right above the heading indicator. And I keep my nose on the horizon, monitor my vertical speed, and as the heading comes in, or the desired heading comes in, I'll roll out to keep my nose on the horizon. And I was a little early, getting a little excited, so I'll do a little bit of a correction to get back onto my heading. Right, bam, there we go. All right, close enough to 220. Airspeed's 95. Tachometer looks good. Vertical speed looks good. Altitude just about where I want it. Looking good. Okay, now if we want to do another turn to the left, do the same thing. Bug my heading. Let's say we want to go to a heading of 150, a little bit longer turn this time. I will put in a little bit of left aileron pressure, maintain coordination using those rudder pedals. Nose on the horizon. Vertical speed 0. Turns coming in. Not quite a standard rate turn yet. There it is. And losing a little bit of altitude, so I'll add a little back pressure. Looking good. Cool. And looking fine. We're not in the delta yet. Cool. Coming up on our heading. I want to roll out about half the bank angle. There we go. 150-ish. And nose on the horizon, wings level. 0 on the vertical speed. Altitude just about where I want it. Okay, so that was straight and level flight, and one turn to the right, one turn to the left. Now, let's say we wanted to climb up. I'm going to add some power, pitch up, and initiate a climb. Now, you can do either a standard, or you can either do a constant rate climb, let's say we wanted to pitch for 800 feet per minute rate of climb, we'll look at our vertical speed for that, right? Find that point where it's 800 feet per minute. Right there. We'll trim that off, or we can use our vertical speed, our airspeed indicator, and pitch for, let's say, a 79 knot climb. We can pitch up, or 89, or whatever. The constant airspeed climb. We can pitch for a specific airspeed that we want to climb at. There is 82. We'll keep pitching up. There's 81, and that is about 79. Maintaining our heading. Let's say we wanted to climb up to 3,000. Bug that 3,000. Just like before, we'll level off. We'll lead the altitude by a little bit. We'll level off and trim off our pressures. So set our pitch, set our power, trim off control pressures. And I'm using a trim on my thumb here instead of on the wheel, just because I don't have a fancy setup. Cool, there's 3,000, power set. We're at 90. I like to keep it relatively easy, nothing, I don't want to be in full afterburner on IFR because it'll give you more time to think, right? Because that was a climb. Now let's initiate a descent. We'll reduce our power this time, and I like to pitch for a 500 foot per minute rate of descent. So maintaining our heading here, there's 450, there's 500 feet per minute rate of descent, right about there. And let's say we want to descend back down to 2,000 feet. Cool. Now, a problem with X-Plane, in your home simulator, you're not going to have a lot of the tactile feedback, but, I still think it's an excellent tool for practicing procedures and getting the fundamentals down. And we can also talk about shooting instrument approaches. Speaking of which, while we're descending down to 2,000, I'm going to take a look at our VOR approach here. This is a non-precision approach. VOR course, or the frequency is 110.6. So I'm going to plug that in, and it's already in. Awesome. Keep that radar tank coming in. 12865 for the weather. By the way, I'll put the approach plate in the description so you guys can follow along. So let's talk about that approach. So this is the VOR alpha approach into pain. The VOR course, or the VOR frequency is 110.6, and circling is not authorized for 3-4 at night. Airport elevation is 608, and the approach course is 160. Coming up on 2,300. If we go missed approach, we'll be climbing right turn to 2,000. On heading of 260, and then the pain VOR DME, the 236 radial out to a SEPO at 9 DME and hold. So the reason I want to do this VOR approach is because I struggled really hard with DME arcs when I was training for my instrument rating. So I figured it'd be a good thing to practice while I'm studying for my double I. All right, so we're going to intercept the 236 radial out of pain. Let's first verify so that frequency is set. And we'll be at 2,000, 3,000 feet. Yeah, so we'll have to climb back up to 3,000. So we'll set the CDI, first one, there we go, and 236 radials if we want. There's the 236 radial. So we'll be executing a climbing right turn to get onto that radial, and we won't be at 9 DME. There we go. Okay, climbing right turn to get onto that radial. We want to be at 3,000. Right? Yeah, 3,000. Something else we can do, we can select pain here and see how difficult it is to pay attention to 20 different things all at once. Okay, so I've selected Pain Field, the approach, the VOR Alpha approach into Pain Field, and I'm selecting Isepo as my initial approach fix. I'm going to turn mins on, and it looks like 1,100. Coming up to 3,000 feet here. I'm going to start my level off, and we're already at 9 DME. How embarrassing. Okay, there's a Isepo off our left here. Okay, we're actually gonna reset. Pain. And then selected the 236 radial out from Pain so that I can intercept that course. And then at about 8.5 DME, I'll make that turn to the right to start that DME arc. Okay, this should give us a good intercept angle here. We're at 6.2 DME on an intercept for that. And we can zoom out here so you can see what it looks like on the moving map, on the MFD over there. Alright, while we are waiting for that to come in, our next radio frequency will be the ATIS, and then Seattle Approach on 1285, and then Pain Tower. And then after that, once we're on the ground, 121.8. And at the bottom there, we've got the Caveman Speak for the Missed Approach course. Looks like a climbing right turn at 2000 on a heading of 260, and then intercept the 236 radial of Pain, and then hold at Isepo at 9 DME. Now that radial is starting to come in, so I'll be making a left turn here pretty soon. We're at 6.7 DME, and again at 8.5 is about where I'm going to make that turn to start that. 36. 7 DME coming up on 7.1, still at 3,000. We do have a little bit of wind coming from the south at this point, so might need to make a correction for that. Okay, 2, 3, 6. There we go. We're tracking the 236 radial out from Pain, and we're at 7.8 DME. In about 0.7 miles, I will make that right turn to 326, and I'm gonna make 10-degree turns to the right while tracking the next 10 degrees on the VOR. And I'll show you what I mean. That's 8.2, 8.3, perfect time for copy. 8.4 and 8.5. Okay, starting a right turn now. We want to go to the 90 degrees to the right, so that'd be a 326, and then I'm going to twist 10. Come on. 1, 2, 10, 10. There. Bam. So we're going to turn to the right, 90 degrees away from the VOR that we're tracking, and we're going to intercept a radial as we turn. Once that radial comes in, we'll twist 10 and turn 10 again. So make another right turn about 10 degrees. And if we've gone too far away from the station, we can make a steeper turn to get back to that 9 DME. We're 9.2 right now, so I'm gonna make a little steeper than, or a little sharper than 90 degrees. Hopefully that'll help it come in. Now as that radial comes in, we know we are traveling 10 degrees from where we started this approach. That's 9.2. I'm gonna make a little correction here. Okay, there's a VOR needle coming in. 5, 6. I'll make another turn to the right. There's 9.1 DME, so we are getting closer to that 9 DME arc. So the idea is to fly a 9 nautical mile radius turn to set ourselves up for the approach. The approach says we have to stay at 3,000 feet. No procedure turn to Yavor, and then on the inbound course we'll descend down to 1,500. Zelig at 3 DME, and then from there down to 1,100. Okay, that's 9 DME. Okay, we're gonna hold this for now. Hopefully this should put us on 9 DME on the spot, right there on the nose. Okay, we can track our progress on the right side over there. And again, if we wanted to fly this using the GPS, it's much easier. It just gives you a magenta line to follow, and you just follow that. But we're gonna do it a little the old school way, the way that I struggled with when I was learning. So I get that good practice, and you can see what it looks like. All right. And again, we're just tracking that 10-degree increments on the VOR. Once we intercept, we'll twist 10 and then turn 10 again. We're at 9 DME, just where we want to be. Pain field should still be off our right wing. Okay, another 10 degrees. Holding altitude 3,000. Alright, we've gone a little farther out than we want to be. We're at 9.1 DME, so we'll adjust there. And let's just listen to the weather form.
Painfield, Snohomish County Information Foxtrot. 0 Zulu weather. Wind 160 at 8, visibility 3. Sky conditions 550 overcast, temperature 13, dew point 12. Altimeter 2992. Arriving runways 16 right, 16 left. Departing runways 16 right, 16 left. Advise on initial contact, you have Foxtrot.
Okay, let's turn that off because it's giving me a headache. And we can let the controller know Seattle approach. Cessna 172 Sierra Papa has Zulu. It was a Zulu. The weather at Pain. Okay, 9 DME coming up on our next arc. The 286 radial from Pain, looking good. Tiny corrections, and everything should be pretty much hands off, right? For this, I'm not muscling the controls, and that's true in VFR too. So if you're a VFR guy, girl, watching this, trim the plane off so you can focus on other things. Okay, looking good. Coming up on 286. And another right turn. By the way, if at any point things start to go sideways, you start to get disoriented, fly your plane, right? Aviate, navigate, communicate, get the aircraft under control using the attitude indicator, get your vertical speed under control, heading under control, and then you can worry about trying to get established on the approach. Fly the plane first. Worry about communicating later. Okay, looking good. Coming up on the 296 radial, we are 0.2 miles away from where we want to be, so I'm going to turn in a little bit early. Try to get back to that 9 DME. And remember, DME means distance measuring equipment. It gives us slant range to or from a station. Okay, there's 296. Make another turn or another twist. adjust. 3, go. And let's compare to our GPS. Yep, GPS is telling us we're off course to the left, so we need to come to the right. Again, making a more aggressive turn to the right to stay on that 9 DME. While we're here, take a look at your tachometer, fuel flow, oil pressure, oil temperature, vacuum system, fuel gauges, everything is looking good. Maintain good situational awareness the entire time. But fly your plane above all else. Don't let things get out of whack. Okay, that's 306, 316. Make that 0556, yeah. Okay, we're a little high, so I'm gonna start descending and overshot. Hey, not bad. Pretty close. So the clouds just changed. Okay. 326. Still climbing. Don't want to be climbing. Distracted. Everybody's texting me right now. There we go. Okay, 326. Want to be right about there. Altitude's looking good. Airspeed's looking good. There's 336. So this is a non-precision approach, so technically we don't have any vertical guidance, but some GPS units will give you some guidance. It's not, you're not technically supposed to like trust it 100%. It's still on you to know like what altitude you're at and like whether or not it's safe to descend. So keep that in mind. I'm just gonna turn it to 500 feet per minute rate of descent is good. Let's see what this is telling us. Cool, looking good. So we should be aligning with the runway at this point, or correction, not with the runway, with the 160 course to the VOR, which is located just north, or on the north side of the runway. So we're not going to be lined up with the runway when we break out of the clouds today, if we break out of the clouds. And I'm flying in a intercept course because we're not directly aligned with that VOR. Let's take a look at what the GPS is telling us. Ooh, interesting. Might have cut it a little early. How embarrassing. That's fine. We'll just use the VOR. Okay, we're going down to 2,000 and 1,500 is our altitude out to 3 DME, and we're at 7, so I'm going to ignore this for now. And we'll descend down to 1,500. Oop. There we go. Okay, and you see why we practice? I totally screwed up that GPS side of it, so we're just going to follow the VOR. And there's some copy loading. Okay, we're coming up on 6 DME, 5.8 DME. So we'll stay at 1,500 until we get to 3 DME. And then we can descend down to 1,100. Not yet. Getting a little slow. Okay, 5 DME, 1,540. .6 DME, shooting for 3, and still a little slow. .2. And our next heading will be 260 if we go missed approach. So let's bug that heading. 260. 3.5 DME. From there we can descend down to 1,100, which is already programmed into the GPS. There's 3. Nothing too crazy, 500 feet per minute, it's nice and comfortable. And we'll climb to 2,000 if we go miss, so I'll bug that altitude. We're at 1,400, shooting for 1,100. Starting to get on our course again, so we'll make that correction. 1,300. 1,200. 1,180, 70, 60, 50, and oh, that's nice. Okay, I've got the runway in sight. Excuse me. Okay, from here it's easy, just slow flight over the runway, right? Nope, we're low. Hold this altitude until we recapture glide slope. By the way, there's something to keep in mind. Some approaches won't align you with the runway. They'll just get you close enough to where you can see it. You can go land on it. Right? Okay. Good. Okay, eyes are on the horizon. Slow flight over the runway. There we go. Oh, that's a lot of braking. Ooh, these brakes are very sensitive. Okay, cool. Close enough. All right, so that was some basic IFR flying and then shooting a VOR approach. You saw me screw up the GPS unit, but we were still using the VOR information, so we were able to execute it. Point out what I screwed up in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any feedback for me, that's great. And let me know what you thought about doing a simulator lesson versus PowerPoint. All right, anyways, thanks for watching. See you guys.